Guys, before this video gets started, I do want to say that just because of the setup we have, sometimes it do get a little laggy or it might be a little low, but mostly a little bit laggy. But just bear with us, we're 3 episodes in. We will get the right equipment as soon as we can. But with all being said, enjoy the video.
Yo, YBH.
What's up, people of Divine? My name Damari.
What's up, people of the Divine? My name is Trey.
How y'all been? How y'all day been? Let us know what y'all got going today in the comments below.
Oh, bro. So, twin, how you been? How's your day, bro?
My fault, I had to get my computer charger, but I ain't gonna lie, bro. My day slick been straight. Soon as I woke up, I posted my drunken little ads, and then I had went to the G station to check on some applications and shit, and then really just came back, did some more notes for today's podcast, played some Need for Speed, and now we're here. Tell me about you. How was your exam?
My exam was pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. I scored a B on it. Ended the class with the overall B, which is kind of ironic. So, but yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That college math hit different, for real, for real.
Man, I'm really knowing, twin. I ain't gonna lie. But today, as y'all already know, we have the topic today is racism, mental health, and the abuse of power. But before we get into that, I have a poll for y'all today and a question. But first, we're gonna get into the question. Now, the first question, the poll is, what Christmas movie is better? You have uh a Medea Christmas or Friday After the Next. Now, D, I'm gonna go ahead and let you say which one's your favorite first. What you got?
I ain't gonna lie. To me, I'm definitely going with Friday After the Next, for real, for real. Craig, Day Day, got it, bro. Like, that's one of the most iconic duos when it comes to just like overall. I ain't even gonna lie. I was gonna say like Christmas movies, but like it's just overall. Like I don't know. It's just like it's just a classic movie, bro. And I just feel like you just can't sometimes like just go too much with like I don't know. Like I just feel like you can never get enough of like Craig and Day Day together, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Like
Nah, I ain't
it's
gonna.
just a great duo. And every time I watch that movie, I'm always laughing, bro.
Mm,
Is always like no matter how many times I watch it, it just never gets old for real. What about you,
facts.
bro?
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. I hate to agree, but I gotta agree, bro. Friday After the Next. That's my movie. I watched it way more times than I watched the Medea's Christmas. My bad. Don't get me wrong. Medea Christmas is also a good Christmas movie, bro. It's funny. And like I ain't gonna lie, you would probably have just about the same amount of laughs in the Medea Christmas as probably after the next. Cause I ain't gonna lie, Tyler Perry, he know what he be doing. And they all played their roles just how
For real.
Friday After the Next did. But Friday After the Next, my favorite though, is just cause I have more memories with it. Like I grew up on that really more. Like my dad was a Friday watching type of dude. So now I grew up watching Friday. I ain't gonna lie. So Friday After the Next just hit a little different, bro. I ain't gonna lie. So yeah, I just choose that one, bro.
Nah, for real though.
But D, go ahead and read them the question of the day, cause me, I can't read, so I ain't even finna try to go there.
Man, y'all, don't even get me started on this dude not even here. Man, all right.
I
So
can't read, y'all.
the
Chill out.
podcast question is the podcast question of the day, y'all, is in which Christmas movie does a kid set up a whole house full of traps to stop two burglars? And what is the kid's name in the movie?
Okay,
So y'all let us know down below
for sure.
if
I got
y'all know what the
it.
movie is. And I feel like y'all definitely got that one. I ain't gonna lie.
Definitely. If y'all don't, y'all clearly don't watch Christmas movies. But I do have it in the low key. I would say the top left screen, but it's not the left or the top. It's low key just in the screen. So yeah, here go y'all options. Like he said, let us know in the comments which one y'all think it is, and also let us know in the comments which Christmas movie is y'all favorites. But before we head into today's topic, it is sensitive, as y'all could already kind of tell by the topic. So if y'all can't handle the sensitivity, then I would suggest closing out of YouTube or go watch some Fortnite, go watch some I Show Speed, some Kai Cenat, some Rakai. You feel me? Just don't watch us because it's gonna get a little sensitive. So this is y'all warning and y'all only warning. So, the first topic we're gonna start off today with is racism. And before we talk about racism, we have to first get into the word race, where it came from, and like how it originated. So race is a socially created way of grouping people, based on physical features, mainly skin color, hair texture, and facial features. And what I basically mean by that is it was made by society. It's not made by nature. It's not a biological or scientific category. Because if we're being scientific, humans are 99.9% genetically the same. So, did you want to add anything to that before I hop into racism, or you just want to hop into racism?
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. Totally agree with you. I ain't gonna hold you. That sounds accurate to me. But I will low key. I will define racism for them, and I'll hop into it, and then you could like hop into it after me, like after explain it. So racism is a system of beliefs, actions, or institutional structures that treat people unfairly or view them as inferior or superior based on their race or their ethnicity. Racism is often criticized due to skin color, but other physical characteristics apply. Now, it's more into it, but you have anything that you wanted to add on to that, D, that you feel like racism ties into or
For sure, for
like it
sure.
defines in or what?
So, I mean, I basically agree with you. You already said it. Racism is a belief that certain races are superior. A concept that actually developed during Europe's age of the exploitation and the Atlantic slave trade in the late 15th to early 16th centuries. Now, I mean, there's a bunch of reasons, but racism was created to justify power and control, and there's plenty more reasons. So, with that being said, what else? What other reasons do you think or know racism was created for, Twin?
I believe that racism was created to justify power and control in so many different ways. I ain't gonna lie, and it was also shaped to support economic gain for people that was up
Yeah,
there in the social ladder.
for sure. Hey, he got a point there, y'all ain't gonna lie. Cause actually later on, I'm actually hop into more a little bit on I actually have something to speak about on like economics wise. Um So yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Just stay tuned because we're gonna hop into that later. But as stated before, racism was created, not taught. It's not nature. It was reinforced. And schools taught white centered history like Columbus founded America, but he didn't. We all know natives were already here, and Columbus did not find what we call America today. It was people already living here. But with that being said, families really just pass down racist beliefs to their kids. And then you had other ways like social media, movies, news ads, and just also, people fear losing their jobs. So that's another reason why people kind of spread their racism was they're afraid of losing jobs, their status and political power. So when I say they were scared to losing political power, could you like go into a little bit more of topic on like how they would use political power, or do you want me to get into that?
Okay, you get into it, and then I will add on after what you say.
All right, for sure, for sure. Well, powerful leaders, using racism to make whites think black and Mexican people were the threat. instead of focusing on the real issue like poverty or inequality and just a lot of things that were going on in the times of racism. Because just how our world is today is not perfect, and back then it wasn't perfect either. So if they would have just actually came together and focused on what really matters, our world wouldn't be so fucked up today. I'm not gonna lie to you. But you want to add on to that, D, or
I definitely do feel like that they prioritized the wrong concept of things
yeah,
because if they had exactly like you said, if they had focused on basically boosting the economy together versus these group of people that actually could have been working with them and not for them,
for sure.
it would have actually made them gain way more. You would have gained more resources like ivory, ivory, the raw materials, like all these different all throughout the transatlantic slave trade. You would have gained way more than versus making these people basically cargo in these goods to in order to get actual materialistic stuff
Nah,
that
facts.
was, to me, I feel like was immoral. But let's just get more into it as a whole, toy, and I ain't gonna lie.
So now, actually, before I get into like something that had to do with racism or a tragic event that happened during racism's big, I wouldn't say time, but back when it was like really, really, really big. But why is racism still strong today? But in my opinion, racism is very strong today because of the narrow stereotypes. People go around saying. You got social media. It spreads misinformation, and then this y'all can argue to disagree with this one. I feel like also some people just grew up isolated without exposure to different cultures and stuff. Because me personally, I'm one of those people. I haven't really only other culture I kind of really been exposed to for real is the Mexican culture, the Spanish culture because half of my family is Mexican. So and I ain't gonna lie, like that culture is a very nice culture, and I feel like a lot of other cultures are very interesting and very different. And I feel like we should really get to know that, like not even for our personal experience, but also just I know it makes the next person feel good. Like people are interested in learning their culture and actually something positive about it instead of being negative about something you don't understand. Try to understand it before you knock it. But what you think, D?
Yeah, for real. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like the idea that um let me restart y'all, my bad. Okay, so I feel like racism is justified because it protects political and economic interests as it was previously before, back when it had first started to like rise up. Because I feel like those that have the interest in political and economics, they tend to feel like it is because they are in power, they feel like it isn't wrong, but generally for real it is. And I feel like as well that since they're all about profit and dominance, basically with politics being all about, oh, I want to control this, or oh, we want this, we want this, we want that. And people that are in business, they want more money in their pockets. They put that above human dignity, equality, and justice. So I feel like as a whole, it treats entire groups of people as tools to be exploited rather than human beings with inherent rights. Because at the end of the day, we are all human. We are all made in God's image. None of us is better than the next person. So I feel like this reasoning turns inequality into something to be preserved rather than corrected, allowing harm and oppression to be framed as necessary or maintaining advantage when basically for real, this just uncomforts people and it just makes them feel like that they're not being able to have the justice that they need, and it dehumanizes people as a whole. I ain't gonna lie. And I feel like social media pushes that dilemma.
Nah,
You
facts.
have people making racist tweets, racist comments,
Racist
And even for
skits.
not even just for black people, yeah, exactly. Even and then we label it as a social norm, and to be completely honest, it's really not. That I don't feel like that should be a norm in society where we are making fun of each other's cultures based on our skin color or based on our appearance. And it became so normalized. We got younger kids even in schools like making these rude remarks and these derogatory terms. Like this is just, it's honestly outrageous to me, for real, for real.
Facts. And I ain't gonna lie, as a person of color, I get stereotyped everywhere I go, by people that don't know me, by people who do know me. And if I'm being honest, it used to hurt me. It used to make me feel a type of way, but now I've gotten so used to it, bro, and I shouldn't. Like it shouldn't I shouldn't have to get used to something, like especially to something that's not okay. Like, bro, I be like everywhere I go, I ain't gonna lie. It's as cliche or as I don't know, like it might not seem right or like it can't be true, but I ain't gonna lie. Often places, like majority of the time, if I'm out, bro, I'm getting stereotyped by somebody. And as somebody who has, like I said, who's gotten used to it, I might act like I don't see it, but I guarantee I promise you I see it, bro. I just choose not to entertain it or say anything because honestly, you're the problem. You're the ignorant one. You the one who needs help mentally and probably physically. So I just go on with my day. But I'm gonna add on a little bit. Then I want to go into my topic. But also, I feel like racism is strong too because some groups benefit by keeping people divided, and history was ignored or sugarcoated. So, with that being said, racism will continue to stay alive if people continue to ignore the lies that built it. So, therefore, us as a society, we need to challenge the way we think as one. And when I mean we, I mean society. You feel me? Like everybody on planet Earth needs to change how we think as one. You shouldn't see color. You should just see people. Personalities and character. Because at the end of the day, we are 99.9% genetically the same. So ain't nobody higher than
Man,
nobody. And if we're being honest, the only person who can judge, who has the right to judge, is God. And none of us on this earth is God.
absolutely.
So yeah, you got anything you want to add
Man,
before I hop into my topic, Tony?
bro, I ain't gonna lie. I undoubtedly agree that we have to reassess how we react as a society because we have, like I said, we've labeled racism as like people don't want to like admit to it. A lot of people maybe don't want to admit to it, but it's kind of like a social norm, for real, for real. Like you have so many people, e- especially on social media. I would say it. I feel like it's a social norm because you have so many ignorant people that post about it and tweet about it, and with all these negative remarks on it, versus speaking up about it and saying how this is morally wrong. They feel like it's funny, or they feel like it's just like it's entertaining to just like make fun of other cultures, for real. And I feel like the only way that is going to be able to change is if we reassess how we react, for real. Because if society is going to continue to grapple with this prejudice behavior, then it's just going to keep lasting with these lingering effects of inequality, misunderstanding, and overall fear, honestly.
Fact. Real talk, man. I ain't gonna lie. You said that. Get up props to my boy. I ain't gonna lie. You said that very good. Okay. But with that being said, I'm going to get into my topic. Now, I ain't gonna lie. Correct me if I'm saying this wrong because one minute I'm saying it right, the next minute I'm saying it wrong. But I want to talk about Black Wall Street, also known as the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921. And for those who don't know what Black Wall Street was, Black Wall Street, was a wealthy, successful Black community in Greenwood, a neighborhood in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And why is it famous? It's famous because over 300 Black owned businesses. They had doctors, lawyers, teachers, bankers, pilots, even real estate and owners. Not only that, most Black families owned their homes. They had hospitals, hotels, movie theaters, grocery stores, and even schools. You name it. They even have Black churches. Some things about Black people, bros. We build churches. We build things that will actually have a pro to the community instead of a negative. Like our government's building like nuclear weapons and just They just always worried about building something commercial wise or something that's benefiting the rich instead of the
Corrupt for
community.
real.
Yeah,
Corrupt.
but not
I'm cool with
also
that.
money circulated within the black community 30 plus times before leaving. Y'all don't understand how much motion that is. 30 plus times, like it is circulated in the same community 30 plus times before leaving out of the community. You know how much motion they had, bro? And if y'all don't know how much motion they
Man,
had, y'all gonna know by the end of this podcast, you know, because we gonna tell y'all what happened and how much money was lost from this massacre. But for those who don't know what triggered it, on May 30, 1921, a young black man named Dick Rowland was accused of assaulting a white woman named Sarah Page in the elevator. And of course, there was no evidence, and many believed that he simply, tripped or stumbled over her foot and bumped into her. But of course, the newspaper had exaggerated it, and and it stirred up anger. So then you have May 31st, 1921, a white mob gathered outside the courthouse during the Lynch rolling, and black World War I veterans from Greenwood showed up armed, trying to protect him the legal way. A confirmation happened, a gun went off, and chaos followed. So, do you got anything you want to say? Well, actually, I do real quick. Bro, it's a cycle here, twin. Like, this is the same thing that happened with Emmett Till, just a little bit different. He might have actually whistled at the lady, or he said like he was just whistling in general. But who is it? Who is it? Me. What's up? I my mom got a break for you. Huh? My mom got a break for you. Okay. I'm doing a podcast right now. All right, okay. All right. Appreciate you. No problem. All right, but my fault, y'all. But anyways, so yeah, it's just like it's a cycle, bro. Like they always accusing somebody of doing something, and the person knows they never did it. They just want to see that person hurt, or they want to see that person get punished for it. And that's ignorant, bro. Like I don't know how you in the right mind can be okay with knowing somebody's gonna have something bad happen to them for no entirely reason. Like this woman really started like if we being honest, this whole thing didn't just start because of that. Like it's not the real reason, but that just basically started it. Like that just riled it up. But this is way more than just had to do with this woman. But if this never happened, again, 9 times out of 10, the massacre would have never happened, or maybe it would have happened a little later. Who knows? But I feel like it might have not never happened if he was never accused of this. What about you, D?
I feel like because because racism was actually low key, like it was around in that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel like I don't feel like particularly would have been a massacre, but it would have been some type of shutdown that they would have enforced
For sure.
so that black people wouldn't have been able to elevate and grow how they were because they were envious of black people growing so successfully. They had never seen a community, especially in the black community, where they strive and grow so well, where they're basically outdoing the whites. And it caused them to feel like that the blacks were above them, and how they thought back then, and even a lot of people do now. And no offense to anyone that is white watching, but that is kind of like true for real, for real. It's a lot of people that do feel like that black people are inferior to them because of because they're white or something. So with that being said, though, to correlate back to the topic, I do feel like it would have happened, but I just feel like it wouldn't have happened as a massacre, and it wouldn't have been as bold as it was with all these people dying and all these businesses being shut down like rapidly because of all this chaos and violence. I just feel like it probably would have been a more um shutdown that was targeted to basically like shut the people up, where it wasn't as talked about as it is now, for real, because now that's pretty like I feel like it's a big topic in history, but a lot of people still don't know about it.
Not
But
facts.
nah, brother.
Yeah, a lot of people
Nah,
really
continue,
don't
man.
know about it, and that's really one of the main reasons why I'm talking about it today. Because like we have said, uh, schools taught, white center history. So this is one of the things that I was not taught in school. Like I really didn't know about this until I think either my mom told me or somebody in my family told me, or I might have found it on the internet. It was one of the two. But anyways, so this is how the massacre started right here. White mobs, including police officers, stormed into Greenwood, armed with rifles, shotgun, torches, and even airplanes, bro. Airplanes, things that fly in the air to shoot and drop explosives at black residents, and this lasted roughly 16 hours. Now, I just find this crazy, bro. Like, something used for wars were getting used on innocent people all because of their skin color and because of how much motion and how much success they was building up in the community. Because if we're being honest, this was just pure jealousy, pure hatred, ignorant, and jealousy. Like this is really all it was.
Man,
And if y'all don't believe it now, y'all should by the end of the story. And if you don't, then you might be a problem. I ain't gonna lie. You might want to get that brain of yours checked, but we ain't gonna speak on that. Anyways, but like just really just sit like just pause the video and take like two whole minutes just to think. Like here, I'm gonna read this again. They stormed into Green armed, with rifles, with shotguns, with torches, and even airplanes to drop explosives, bombs at black residents, which lasted roughly 16 hours. Now, just take two whole minutes to think about that. Like they really used explosives on black residents, like something they used in two world wars, something that they used in the wars in general. They used on black innocent residents who was doing nothing but running up their paper and being, a family, bro. Like being a black family, how a black family should be, and that's one of the scariest things in America. I ain't gonna lie, is a healthy black family. If I'm being real, but not to get off topic though,
nah, I ain't
just
gonna lie.
just low key. You said what time?
I said, man, bro, I ain't gonna lie. That's definitely a strong thing in America is a healthy, successful black family.
No facts, but like I said, y'all just take a second to think about that, bro. Like that is crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Like imagine if the roles were switched, or if that was your family. Y'all were just minding your business, and one day y'all community getting bombed, shot, destroyed, burned for what? But all right, I'm gonna carry on. I ain't gonna try to be on that too long. I'm just starstruck, y'all. If y'all can't tell, I'm just shocked, and I'm just not amazed, but it's just like I just can't believe people would actually do some stuff like this. But hey, what can I say? This is America. But between May 31st and June 1st, white mobs burned black homes, churches, schools, businesses, and even hospitals. They killed an estimated range up to 100 to 300 black residents. Now, that's a lot of people. I ain't gonna lie. It might be a low number, but for people, for that is a lot of people. I ain't gonna lie. Now, D, do you know how many people were jailed or something? Because it was way more people in that community, and only 100 to 300 got killed.
It was a lot that was jailed. I don't know the specific exact number, but I know it was primarily it was a lot of like I think what was it like more than like 50% of the community was jailed.
Low key, yeah. Like over like 6,000 people were rounded up and held at gunpoint in detention centers. So yeah, but I ain't gonna lie, this part right here is very interesting. I did tell y'all was gonna find out how much money was lost. So, wealth that was destroyed, they destroyed like around 1,500 homes, 35 city blocks equivalent of 27 to 30 million dollars in today's money lost. Some estimates are much more. Greenwood went from one of the richest black neighborhoods to a rumble in a single day. Now, can we just rewind a little bit? They said 27 to 30 million dollars in today's money. Now y'all know how much money that is. I could sell a business for $30 million and be cool for a little. Like I ain't gonna lie, for the rest of my life. If it's just me and I know how to, or if I just know how to use that money. But y'all Just think about $30 million in today's world was lost in 1921 by white mobs shooting black residents, bombing them, burning them in their buildings. Like that's crazy. D, what you think, bro?
Bro, I didn't low key. I ain't even gonna lie. Dollars in today's money is absolutely insane for one community to have. Like, that's low key a lot of money, especially for back then, bro. We talking about in the 1900s, bro. We talking about 1921. They had roughly 27 to 30 million dollars in today's money. That's a lot of money. So for real, they had a little bit more back then. It was this is now it's just I think it depreciated a little bit, but that's just like that's wild, bro. I ain't gonna lie. That's crazy. That's a lot of money.
Not facts, but no, something even more crazier than losing 27 to 30
What's
million
up, bro?
dollars in 16 hours. Well, I guess, 2 days, but after the massacre, the government covered it up for decades. Newspaper avoided talking about it. Schools didn't teach it. Survivors were silenced out of fear, and no victims. I mean, not no victims, but no one was arrested for the massacre, and even the insurance company refused to pay claims to black victims. Not only that, Dick Rowland, the accused, all charges were dropped and proving the accusations was false. Again, so all that for what reason? At what cost? Like, before I even hop into the Dick Rowland, I want to hop into the fact that the government covered it up, which he's not the first and only thing or last thing the government will cover up. But I also want to talk about the newspaper avoiding to talk about it. Because it's crazy that the newspapers still do this to this day. If you watch the news, it's the same stuff that goes on the whole day. And it shouldn't, because there's a lot of things in the world that goes on the daily that people don't talk about or even know about because it's not talked about. And the government even knows about it. He just covers it up, which is not okay. They want you, bro. I'm gonna lie, America's a joke. They want you to see what they want you to see. You're gonna see what they want you to see. Unless you go look at it yourself and do the digging and research yourself, you're not gonna know what's truly going on in this world because America's a game. They literally put in front of your face what they want you to see or believe. So y'all know how the news is. Imagine that 10 times more. They don't show what's truly going on. They just show you, what they want you to see and what they want you to believe. Rather it's a black person robbing somebody or somebody shooting up a school or something. 9 times out of 10, it's something they want you to see. And a lot of the things they also use. Actually, I'm gonna say what I gotta say for the next topic. I ain't gonna lie. But do you want to add anything to the government covering it up and stuff?
Yeah, unfortunately, the government does cover up a lot of things, and it's all about being able to control the perception of society. And they do it with a lot of stuff for real, way more than what we realize. And to be honest, it's really up to us as individuals in society to, if we want to seek more out on that information, to be able to
Mhm.
research and learn for ourselves, because a lot of things aren't the way they seem even on social media, and a lot of things that are put out, or a lot of things that aren't put out, I should say, actually, um they have so much, like they have all this background that we don't know about, and it's important for us as a society to learn about, especially something like this for in the black community. Like, we had a black Wall Street, and then destroyed 27 to 30 million dollars money lost in today's currency. And then not only that, but we had thousands of black people jailed, beat on, and then what, around 300 people killed. Like, bro, that's crazy to me. And for all of it to just get covered up and act like it never happened, like, bro, what? That's wild to me. I ain't even gonna lie.
This I ain't gonna lie, loud isn't even the word to describe it. I don't know a word to describe it, but It's out of this world. I can tell you that on real.
And definitely outrageous.
But why the massacre happened, it wasn't just the elevator incident, which I was saying in the beginning. That was only the spark. The real reasons were, racism and Jim Crow laws, white resentment of black success, jealousy, economic jealousy. Black Wall Street was too successful, bro. And not only that, fear of empowered black veterans returning from World War I and desire to take black land and property. The massacre was really a violent attempt to destroy black economic power. Something that they low key kind of did achieve, because as you know now, most black families or people in general are less fortunate and they're struggling, and a lot of it is because of their choices, but a lot of it's also because of the way the railroad is set up, and a lot of it is because our generational wealth that a lot of white people or other races might have was taken from us by jealous people, ignorant people, people with hatred, people who low key need help. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I just feel like that's not fair that we have to work 10 times harder to gain what we lost. Well, not what we lost, but was took from us, and then be judged for it, saying like, "Oh, they'd rather do this or they're doing drugs, this and that." The whole time we just got fucked. I'm not gonna lie. Like, imagine if I know it was just in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but like just imagine world like just how that could have just like that was just a start. Imagine what the world would be like today if they never did that to Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Black Wall Street, and where that money would have gone, and where those black families would have gone, and where that wealth would have gone. It would have definitely spread it. Like if they made it in Oklahoma, bro, it definitely could have spread it. So I'm just like, that's one of the reasons
Bro, for
why
sure.
we're cooked in society.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I definitely want to add on to that for sure. Like, if they had, I mean, people would say it's all like hypothetical, but
Mhm.
I genuinely do feel like that if they did not do that, if that situation didn't occur, the killing of multiple people and the um the destruction of basically the whole town, really their whole community, if that didn't happen, bro, they probably would that community would definitely 1,000% be billionaires by now, in
Not
my opinion.
facts.
I'm not gonna lie. That would be a
If
billion-dollar company. Like,
yeah,
not company, but a community, my bad.
mhm.
That would be a $1 billion, like that they would be billionaires for real.
Bro, for
Like,
sure.
that's a lot to achieve,
Like if they just kept
especially
going,
now.
my bad. So go ahead.
No, 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 you good, you good. I was just gonna say, like, if they would have kept going in the amount of time that they achieved that amount of money, like they would have kept that going 100 years later, which because that was almost 100 years ago. That imagine what they would have today. I generally do feel like they would most likely be billionaires. That community would be a $1 billion community. I ain't gonna lie.
Nah, facts. And like a little bit what he was saying, I agree. Like if they would have kept going in the right direction and taught the next generation what to do with that wealth and how to continue passing that generational wealth on, what? I ain't gonna lie. We like even with the stuff done to us, black people are still on the rise. We're still doing low key good for ourselves. But just imagine how better it would be and how far ahead we would be if we never got brought down. We never got taken what was took from us. So with
Absolutely.
that being said, how did this affect us long term? It destroyed generational black wealth, left families traumatized for generations for sure, erased an entire black economic center, and remains one of the worst acts of racial violence in U.S. history. And there's a lot of those in U.S. history, if we're being completely honest. But this is one of the worst. So I'm just like, man, like this is crazy. And I want to kind of talk about the families traumatized. Like, just imagine how the survivors felt after, you know, 24 hours ago, their community was standing. They had homes to go to, shops to go to, money to make, family to feed, family to love on. Okay, and then just a couple hours later, it's burned down. It's no proof of even where they came from. uh, they don't have family anymore, or they might have family, but the family they has, low-key might pass, or even somebody just losing their kid. Like somebody could have lost their kid, and now that she survived, that's her only kid. Now she has nobody. Her husband and wife died. I mean, and her husband and kid died. So now she has no family. So now she's alone. Not only alone, she's going through that trauma alone and what happened alone. And 9 times out of 10, just how people do in the military, she's playing that scene over and over again in her head until she can't no more. But
Suffering from PTSD.
for sure. So I ain't gonna lie to you. That's my long term effects. What about you, Tony?
Like I had just said a few moments ago, I do feel like she would definitely be suffering from PTSD, and not only PTSD, but she would be suffering from more disorders in these uh these different things. Because to lose people you love due to a massacre is just I can't even imagine how them people felt to lose everything, not only to lose their family, but to lose everything that they've built. Like their lives are basically destroyed. Like it's just basically all over, and they got to start all over again. Whether it's with the people they love, and or it's without the people they love, but especially to start without your family, is just I feel like that plays a whole different toll on people's well being. Like I don't know, it's just that's a lot. I couldn't even imagine. That's just can't believe something like that in history like actually happened,
Nah, facts. I ain't
and it
gonna lie.
was classified as
Mm,
and it was actually classified as being like normalcy, or like oh that's too bad, like that, just wow.
nah, facts. But with that being said, that honestly kind of wraps up that topic. But before I start a new one, I do want to say not all white people are racist. Not all of them have that type of thought in their head. Now, a lot of them do, and a lot of them don't. So again, we all are the same. We all are people. We all are a child of God. So don't judge somebody based off their skin tone. Judge them off their personality and their character. But D, I ain't gonna lie. Before I tell mine, do you have anything you wanna say, or I can just hop right into mine? Excuse me.
I feel it is very important to not judge people based off of their physical appearance and with their color, their features, etc., etc. Because people can, you never know how. Basically, I'm gonna use the expression that never judge a book by its cover. Like you can't, you never know what that person could actually like either be going through, or just like how they are as a person until you actually like know them for real, for real. So I feel like it's poor judgment to just be like, oh well, this person is this color, or this person is that color, or this person looks like this, or this person looks like that. So it's just like automatically like like putting them down and feeling like that they're less than you just because of something. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it's very foolish of us as a society, especially to dumb people down from us to because of their features and their characteristics. Like it's just I don't know, it's just, and when I say characteristics I mean like their actual like their features, their et cetera, et cetera. It's a lot, my fault, y'all. But um yeah, I just don't feel like you should judge people based on their color and them, like their appearance and their facial features and
Mhm.
stuff like that, because you never know how good of a person that person may be. Personality is
Right.
key.
And 100%, I agree with you. I don't know if y'all know about this either, because as I said again, schools taught white centered history, so a lot of stuff wasn't taught, and though it was taught, was low key repeated. But I want to talk about the middle passage, also known as the crossing. For y'all who don't know what that is, this was a brutal ocean journey enslaved Africans were forced to take from West Africa to Americas during the transatlantic slave trade. It was one of the darkest events in human history, and as I said before, there are a lot of those, considering the world we live in. Now, for those who don't know what exactly the crossing is, it was, like I said, forced transportation of enslaved Africans to cross the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas from the 1500s to the 1800s. It was called the Middle Passage because it was the middle part of a three-part trade system. Europe to Africa, Africa to the Americas. So, D, before I get deeper into that topic, do you have anything you want to add on to that?
Um, I feel like the most brutal part of the journey was definitely that it lasted. I feel like the middle passage was, I don't know, it was to say the least a very traumatic experience
Mhm.
in Black culture. I'm not gonna lie, and the fact that this lasted around most brutal part of it lasted around 80 days is just wild. But we're gonna get more into that. I ain't gonna lie.
Nah, facts. But yeah, but how people were captured? People were kidnapped by European traders, African raiders working with Europeans, and it just made it a like local wars, created to feed the slave trade and stuff. So was honestly easy. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it was easy for them to get captured, and they were marched to the coast, kept in slave forts, and forced onto ships. Now they didn't march. They like it says they were marched, meaning they were forced. They were my bad, y'all got a message. But yeah, they was forced to aboard these ships. Like nothing. Of course, none of this was consensual. Like they were forced. So for y'all who don't know what happened on the ships, the conditions were horrific. It was crazy. It was men, women, even children were chained and packed like cargoes. This is our humans we talking about, packed like cargoes. Like it's crazy. And not only that, 300 to 600 people on the ship, little room to move or breathe. Um, and food was a minimum. I mean, food was minimum, bro. Like it was a scarce thing, especially water. And they my bad, yo. I'm texting people and stuff. Let me lock in. But one of the worst things, besides common disease or getting beaten, was having to sit so tightly packed with like with people
Got
vomiting.
y'all. I'll take it away.
You said
So,
which one?
so basically, nah, cause you like buddy on this phone and everything. All
Nah,
right,
it was the
so
camera I typed that.
to
Oh yeah.
sum up a huge portion of what he maybe is about to say, uh, so y'all can maybe understand it a little bit
Bro,
more easier.
just let me.
So
I'm done. Let me lock in. Let me lock in,
from
bro.
the 1500s to the 1800s, they were millions, about 12 million American men, women, and children were forced across the Atlantic Ocean as human property. And their journeys that they formed were what we call now is the triangular trade, which is the system that connected Europe, Africa, and the Americas through goods, wealth, and most tragically, unfortunately, human lives. So between 1560 and 1850, roughly 4.8 million enslaved Africans were taken to Brazil, and then 4.7 million to the Caribbeans, and about 388,000, um, only around, which was typically 4% of those who survived the crossing arrived in America. So basically, it was around 380 to 400,000 people arrived in North America. The rest, unfortunately, perished. So, like I was trying to say earlier, was that the passage, the most brutal part of the journey, it typically lasted around 80 days. Ships of all sizes, from small schooners to enormous slave ships designed specifically for the trade, packed people together so tightly that many could not sit up, move at
Mm-hmm.
all. And they had no ventilation. They had water was scarce, and sickness spread rapidly on the bottom of these ships. And about 15 of those that was forced on board end up died before ever reaching the coast.
No, facts. And I want to add on to that from what I was trying to say before getting distracted and stuff was, as he was saying, there was no room. So imagine being on these ships for the long periods amount of time with no room, no bathrooms, just chained to the person next to you. So you have to use the bathroom at one point. You got to use it. So they were just sitting and laying and standing around pee, vomit, and poop. Like, just imagine having to be in that environment for a long period of time. Like, I ain't gonna lie, me personally, I'm not strong enough, bro. I probably would wish death upon myself if I'm being completely honest. So just imagine if you were in these people's shoes. Like, I ain't gonna lie, majority of us would today wouldn't survive, and we'd probably already, if not died by some cause, we would have killed ourselves in the beginning. But not only that, many jumped or were thrown aboard. Some chose death over slavery, which I honestly probably would have done the same thing if I'm being honest. And some were thrown into the ocean if they were sick or dying. Now, before I get into the estimate, I seen an Instagram video, and it was a clip from a movie about the Middle Passage of a bunch of slaves chained together in like a row, and they had rocks. They had like the thing they use to catch fishes and stuff. They had that wrapped around like a bunch of rocks, and they threw it in the water, and just one by one, just the slaves chained together would just be falling in the water, screaming, pleading for their life, and they can't do anything about it because they're chained. They're restricted. So just imagine drowning slowly and alive, like fighting, trying to get up, and you can't. Like, that's sad, bro. That's a sad and slow death. Like, it's something I couldn't imagine. But it was up to 12 to 5 million Africans who were forced on these ships, and out of those 12.5 million, around 2 million died during the crossing, and many more died before even reaching the coast. So think about it. Out of 12 and a half million Africans, around 2 million died. So it could have been less, it could have been more. And many more died before even reaching the coast. Like, this wasn't no fun trip. This wasn't no cruise. Like, this was like a brutal journey to wherever they were going. And I bet you none of us would want to go through this. I know I sure wouldn't. So the fact that my people even have to go through this is sad. But and what this means, bro, is the Middle Passage is low key a mass death event. The journey, like he said, usually lasts to 6 to 12 weeks. 80 days. Sometimes it lasted long because of storms or sickness or ship damage. But for the people who did survive, they were taken to like the Caribbean or Brazil or the United States. And most did not go to the United States, but those who did, and they end up becoming like our ancestors today. But D, now I think you might know what were the exact numbers. Well, you did say, I think, right? What was the exact numbers of where the Africans went to the Caribbean and Brazil?
So 4.8 million Africans, enslaved Africans, were taken to Brazil, and 4.7 to the Caribbean.
And you know how much to the U.S. or
And
not?
roughly around, yeah, so around 380 to 400,000
God dang.
were taken to the
That's a lot of people. Now think about that number. Now a lot of cities that might be a city's population. 400,000 to 300,000. That is some small city's population right there. So imagine a whole city getting transported somewhere. By force. Just imagine that. just because the people, quote unquote, higher than them thought less of them, which was not true at all. As I was saying in the beginning, 99.9% were genetically the same. So nobody's better than nobody. But why the crossing matters today, it explains why millions of African people ended up in the Americas, the root of racism, slavery, and economic inequality, while Black Americans were denied rights for centuries, and how generational trauma began. Again, with a lot of these historic events, trauma leads behind it. Trauma follows, and this is why it needs to be talked about. Not just so it don't happen again, and so people know about it. Also to help those who have actually dealt with this and who've been going through this get like now, yeah, rid of that trauma. Like they heal from the past. Because dwelling on the past is something that you don't want to do from personal experience, and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all have dwelled on the past too, no matter what it is. Like, it's not something good. It's not something that you choose to do. It's just something that it's hard not to do, you know? But do you got anything you want to add to that?
Um, Low key, nah, bro.
Nah, but, well, with that being said, did you want to go on to our next topic, or did you have anything about Middle Crossing or something closely about it, or?
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to shift a little bit into Alado Equiano's story. And his story, he was one of the enslaved Africans that was on the ship by
Mhm.
force.
Yeah,
So with that being said, his story was honestly like it's a lot of vivid imagery, and it's a lot to just like unpack for real, for real. So um I would like to basically like share his story. So this is his story. So when the ship had finally taken on all of its human cargo, the crew made many frightening noises as they prepared to sail. They were forced below deck, unable to see how they managed the vessel, but this was the least of his sorrows. The stench below deck had been unbearable even while they were on the coast. It was dangerous to stay there for long, and some of them had been allowed on deck for fresh air. Now, with everyone crowded together below, the space being utterly pestle, pestantile. Sorry, y'all. The air grew thick and unbreathable from the heat, sweat, and the press of bodies packed so tightly that none of them had room to turn. So they're all chained together, not being able to move, stuck by this insane putrid odor, and they're stuck to basically deal with it
that's like,
without being able to without being able to and a lot of them was stuck down there. Like a lot of them weren't even able to come above deck. Like that's wild, man. But nah, continue with what you was about to say, bro.
now I was just gonna say, like, that's like being in the coffin, bro. Because in the coffin, you really can't move nowhere. Like, because it's made for you to lay there, Because that's really all you're gonna do is lay in there. So, like he said, he couldn't even move at all. Like it was so packed in there that he couldn't move. He couldn't turn. So just imagine how long it took to get from Africa to the Americas, and how long they had to stay in one position. You know how uncomfortable that is, not only to yourself but to your body. Like for so long, like your body will and start feeling weird and all other types of things that I couldn't even really get into from your body just being stuck in one place for so long and forcefully. It would be different if it chose to be in that position for that long, but it was forcefully like you had to stay in that position no matter how much you wanted to move or tried to move. You had no choice but to stay still. So
Man,
that's just crazy. I ain't gonna lie.
it is. So, but back to the story though. So many fell sick, died, victims of the greed of the people who had purchased them, the chains cut into their skins, and the filth of the tubs used as toilets only added to the misery. Children often slipped into them and nearly suffocated. So some of the children had ended up slipped into these what was used as toilets was the tubs, and this was just insane that people's children fell into human waste, and this was like people didn't find this wrong, like the Europeans and the owners
The African
of these
raiders.
ships and so-called owners of these people found this normal. Like
Mhm.
this is wild.
Not
The
fact.
shrieks of the women and the groans of the dying created a scene of horror beyond imagination. People grew so weak that they were usually, some of them, which was Alado Equiano, he was one of them, was usually kept on deck because he was still young and they didn't put him in irons, which was like chains.
Crazy, yeah.
Even so, even so that he expected every hour to be his last. Each day, people near death were carried from below and that he almost wished for the same. He said that he even envied creatures of the sea and the freedom they enjoyed and longed to change places with them.
D, can I stop you right there, twin?
Yeah,
I ain't
bro.
gonna lie. I just kind of want to talk. I just want to like. That's crazy. Like a human, a man, made like made in God's image, wanted to switch places with not only another human but another creature that lives in two different environments, all because of what he was going through. And I find that just crazy, because like I said, God made him in your image. He wouldn't want you to. I'm trying to figure out how I'm trying to put it for it, but like he wouldn't want you wanting to be somebody else or something else. Like he made you in his image, so in his image you are perfect, no matter what you or somebody else may think or say. So it's just the fact that he wanted to be a whole nother creature living in a whole nother environment is crazy, all because that creature had the freedom he didn't. And I just find that, kind of sad, honestly. Not kind of, but very sad.
Man. Like it's just really deep to think about how someone could go through something so bad that they wish that they were an animal instead of a human being because of their situation, because they're being so dehumanized that basically not only do they not want to be their self, but they also don't even really want to live anymore. Like this is just, it's wild, man.
Facts.
So everything he witnessed only deepened his fear and convinced him further of the cruelty of the whites. He said that one day the crew caught many fish. After eating their fill, they threw many of the remaining fish back into the sea, and instead of giving any of the fish to them, they threw it overboard and basically said that they'll be fine. They don't really need no food. Even though they begged, they pleaded with them, they didn't even care. So a few of them had got food because they were driven out of hunger somehow. And when they were discovered that they had food, they were severely flogged, which was they were beaten with whips because that because they ate without permission basically. So another day, he said the sea was calm and the wind was gentled. 2 days of the exhausted countrymen chained together in near despair forced their way through the netting and leapt into the ocean. A third man, not in irons because of his illness, followed them. Many more might have done the same if the crew had not reacted. So you have people on board jumping off of the ship, basically willing and wanting to take their lives because of their situation. Once again, this is this is just really like sad, bro. I ain't gonna lie. So all of them that were above deck, they were shoved below deck, while the sailors shouted and scrambled to stop the ship and send out a boat. Two of the men ended up dying, and the other two, and one, my bad, one was dragged back aboard and whipped mercilessly for him choosing death over slavery. So they would rather the men choose slavery over death because they feel like they should, that's the least that they could do is choose to work for them instead of die. Like that's just
Survival instincts, bro. Survival tactics, at that point they do. whatever they gotta do to survive, even if they don't want to do it. And that's something hard to do.
But
I ain't gonna lie.
it's wild, and not even wild, but it's outrageous to me how that they would get mad at them for not wanting to live anymore, but they would say that, oh, you should definitely want to be a slave. You should definitely want to work for us and be forced upon us. Like, this is something that you should be. You should feel like pleased and enthused over. Like, this is wild to me. So the hardships continued endlessly. The lack of air, unbearable heat, disease, and the constant stench carried many away. During the voyage, he said how he saw flying fish for the first time, which he was amazed as they passed over the deck. And he also saw sailors using the quadrant, an instrument I could not understand, is what he quoted. He said that when they let him look through it, the clouds appeared like land disappearing and reappearing. And when he became more convinced that in another world it was ruled by magic. That he was in another world ruled by magic. So, um, but to fast forward a little bit, they ended up making it to Barbados, and the white crew shouted with joy and made many signs towards them that they approached the island. And that was pretty much it for his part of the story. Now his story is online at a lot of public websites, and I believe as well a lot of Equiano does have a book about um his entire life, but that was just bits and pieces.
Mhm.
I feel that it is very much important to understand how these people went through this insane amount of trauma and experience just because of the color of their skin, and the fact that it was about, I guess you could say as well, money. Like, this is that, I don't know. I generally feel like it's important for, especially for the black community, to understand that, like, our ancestors went through so much as a whole. And you have a lot of even you do have black people that, like, even be like making these crazy remarks and stuff like that. Like, bro, like, people actually went through this, twin. Like, is crazy, bro.
Nah, for real, I ain't gonna lie though. And that's the point too. Like a lot of people will be like, I don't know, just something negative about what happened, rather it's about slavery or just something that our people went through. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes, being young and being around those people, I would too. But as I got to grow older, I just realized, it's something not to really play about. Like, it's something that one,
Right.
not just because it's my people, but people went through in general. Like, has people who got brought on this earth to just live, with glory. It went low key the opposite. Like, it's reverse, bro. We got put on this world to live freely, but we have to pay for a lot of things that was given us to for free. So it's just like, I don't know. I ain't gonna lie, just we gotta do better as people in general. Cause and it starts at home. And then after that it starts where your kids go to school. Cause wherever I was going to school, it was a lot of like people of non-color saying the n-word or making racist jokes or stereotypic jokes, and people would laugh, and sometimes I would laugh, but if we're being honest, it ain't funny. Nobody wants to hear that at all. It's gotten to the point where sometimes I'd be ready to fight somebody over it, if I'm being completely honest. And I got fired. I got fired from Walmart for fighting somebody who called me a nigga. And the crazy thing is we wasn't even at the job, bro. We was at Waffle House when it happened. But long story short, bro, stop the discrimination, stop the negative stereotypes, and just stop all the negative hate in general, because we all the same, we all people, we all are our own person, we all the same but different in our own aesthetic ways. That's how I'm gonna just put it, and that's how I'm gonna leave it. Anything you want to say, D, before I go into our next topic?
Nah, for sure. As was said before, we definitely have to reassess how we react about a lot of things in our life, bro. Like for sure, and even as like a society in general, how these things are. We hear about these different things instead of reacting like understanding and being like, okay, well, taking these things into consideration.
Hmm.
A lot of people just immediately start joking about it, and it's just like it could be a really serious topic that's generally not even meant to be joked about or played with.
At all. But with that being said, I hope y'all learned something today, because if I'm being honest, I learned something because I didn't really know all of this until I was doing research for this podcast. So that's really the point, have fun and to learn some. So as I said, I hope y'all learned some. And if y'all did, let us know in the comments below. But with that being said, our second topic is abuse of power. And it's not just from the government, but I mean mainly from the government, but anybody can abuse power. But abuse of power means officials or agencies use their authority in unfair, discriminatory. I mean, discriminatory. Dang, I can't even. I'm acting like you now, twin.
Discriminatory.
Yeah, discriminatory or
Discriminatory.
harmful ways, especially against certain racial or ethnic groups. I'm acting like my boy D over here. I ain't gonna lie to you. But
All right, buddy, relax.
with that being said, I'm gonna give y'all some examples of abuse of power. Using law enforcement to target specific communities, unconstitutional raids or searches, detaining people without proper cause, ex- um, exec- dang, excessive force, and ignoring people's rights because of race or immigration status. Now, y'all, I can't read. I'm telling y'all, we just be joking. I'm just talking too fast, bro. So please don't be on me in the comments talking about something he can't read, this, and that. Like, just lock in, all right? But and honestly, abuse of power happens everywhere, in different ways across US history, especially toward, black, Latino, and immigrant communities in general. But before I go deeper into this topic, 20, you wanna add something?
Low key. Let's talk about how. Let's talk about ICE, bro. Like what with what's going on in the world today, bro. Like in the news, we see in the news all these negative big things with ICE, bro. Like it's all about like how ICE is important all these Mexicans for wanting to have better in their lives, like or what, and choosing to be in the land of opportunity, so they quote, but yet they're kicking them out because of what exactly? Like,
Well, I know they're
so
kicking
I
him
wanted to
out.
kind of talk about that.
All right, for sure.
Oh no,
I was gonna say, like, a lot of them say they're making America great again by putting immigrants away and putting them back where they came from. But if we're being honest, the immigrants they called today were already here, like I said in the beginning. We all know that natives were here before Christopher Columbus, quote unquote, founded America. Because he didn't. He founded something for himself. Like it was already founded. It was already a thing before he came along. All he did was change the name. And then same with like Mexicans. They say that they're making America great again by sending them back to where they came from whenever, but little do they know, before the U.S. took over Texas, California, and the Southwest, Mexico owned it. So before white American settlers expanded the West and the land we call now Texas, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Utah, Colorado was all Mexican territory. So if we're being honest, if anything, white settlers are immigrants. They are the ones who need to go back to wherever they came from, which I don't know, to be honest. Europe, I don't know where they came from. But if we're being historical, or however America wouldn't put it, white settlers are just white people in general are the ones who need to go. If we're being honest, and take it how you want it, but that's just the truth. If I'm being real with y'all, like just take it how you want it. Like the people who y'all claim of stealing things are actually the victims of the people pointing fingers. So it's just it's reverse like psychology, bro. They trying to make y'all believe. It's like I said, they want y'all to believe what they want, what y'all want. They what they damn. Nigga had the meanest stutter ever, but they want y'all like they want to make y'all believe what they want y'all to believe. Okay, I might have said it backwards. I don't know, but y'all get the point. They are programming to believe what they want us to believe, and that's that Mexicans or people of color don't belong here, and we're the problem. Really, we were here to begin with, and we're the victims of a lot of things that white settlers have done to us. And if we're also being honest too, like you're saying with with ICE, like I ain't gonna lie to you, I didn't know that ICE was a thing after 9/11. Like I really didn't hear about ICE until now. If I'm being 100% honest with you, bro.
I agree.
But
Heard about ICE. I mean, a few years ago, when Trump was president,
for
was president. I said that wrong. My fault, y'all.
real.
But heard about that. I mean, I heard about ICE a few years ago when Trump was president. But I mean, when Biden was president, I didn't really hear too much about ICE, and then
Yeah.
it just came back obviously when Trump just got back in office because he's so adamant about it. But so for y'all who don't know what um what ICE agents
ICE.
are, like technically, ICE agents are federal officers who work for the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They are a part of the Department of Homeland Security. Their work focuses on enforcing immigration laws, investigating crimes that affect national security and public safety. Some agents handle immigration enforcement and removals, while others investigate issues such as trafficking, smuggling, and financial crimes. So together, they're supposed to protect the country's borders and communities. But as of right now, that
Nah,
seems very much so the
now that's what
opposite.
like I like how you put that, D. They're supposed to be. As in that's what they came about. Like that's what they made this program for, or whatever you want to call them. Now, they're actually really very known for their aggressive tactics, and that's why I know them honestly, because I just see a lot of uh ICE, profiling or just breaking up families, bro. And even if they are undocumented, like I said, their ancestors were here before white settlers, bro. God dang, I'm finna just end this damn podcast, twin. No cap. But no, they were here before, the people who accuse them of not being here. So it don't matter if they're documented or not, if we're being honest, because white people they ain't documented. Where they come from. You feel me? So I don't know. I just don't. They don't got them right. But long story short, bro, they go into black communities, brown communities, Latino communities, and they just be profiling people. I'm not gonna lie. So if you speak Spanish, if you brown, if you look Mexican, they're gonna come up to you rather than you doing some civil stuff or you doing some criminal stuff. They're gonna come up to you regardless. Like I see a lot of videos on the internet of people trying to go to Walmart or going shopping and they're just getting stopped. And these are documented people. Some might not be, but most of the ones I see are documented people and they're getting harassed because of their skin color or because they speak Spanish. Now, ICE is kind of getting is really big in like Memphis, Chicago, Los Angeles, and I think California or Colorado. One of those two, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, then y'all correct me in the comments. But yeah, those are where they're big at right now. So they're not everywhere, or if they are, they're not big everywhere. But those are, like the biggest. And but before I go more, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go and take over D.
Nah, so with what I was saying earlier, like how I feel like, in my understanding, most of the agents that are in ICE sign
Mhm.
up because they want to make a difference in terms of making the country quote unquote safer. but generally it seems like they do the bare complete opposite.
Facts.
And I got this quote from a news article. It said John Sandweg, if I'm saying his name correctly, if I'm not, my bad. He said that all of this is unprecedented with all of the things that they're doing in ICE, where they're harassing on Mexicans, where they're beating on Mexicans, like doing all
Facts.
this stuff that's generally unnecessary and not in protocol, just because they are
Just
in
because they
authority and
can.
just because they have
Yeah.
power. Yeah, exactly. So, and it's just like what's the point, bro? Like this is unnecessary. So then he goes on to say that I don't think we've ever seen a nationwide immigration enforcement effort like this.
Hmm.
And to be completely honest, I don't think we have. If we have, y'all let us know. But I don't think we have ever seen a nationwide immigration enforcement like this. I generally do agree with what he said, for real, because like even in the suburbs in Chicago, not too long ago, a masked ICE agent shot a pepper ball into the head of a Presbyterian pastor as he prayed outside the ICE facility.
God dang, what the heck? That is
Like,
crazy,
bro, like what? Bro,
bro.
bro shot a pepper
Bro,
ball into the
that's
head of a
crazy.
Presbyterian pastor. Like,
I ain't gonna
that's
lie, bro.
wild, bro.
A lot of these people too who be in ICE got their mask up for a reason, bro. I ain't gonna lie. And it's crazy too. Like a lot of these people, like police officers in general too. If they ain't have badges, bro, they was getting their ass whooped. I'm telling you, rather it's getting jumped or 101s. And I see a lot of videos on the internet where people of color or just people in general, whether they black, white, Mexican, they're getting assaulted by the police or their rights are getting what's the word I'm looking for? The rights are getting what, twin? Uh, uh,
Revoked.
nah, I would or revoked or abused, like they're going against their rights. So like they would just lose control and just go crazy, beat their ass, and they are police are people, but I mean they got what's coming from. If you want to act this way, you gonna get the consequences that come with the way you acting. Like I see a lot, the saying uh do stupid things, win stupid prizes, so be out here assaulting people and harassing people, you gonna get the consequences that come with it. Not every time, because again, they are authority, so a lot of people don't want the problems that come with the consequences of defending themselves in a physical way. So it's just like, I don't know, bro. They gotta do better, bro. Like, and they actually need to watch who they put in these ICE uh uniforms and these police uniforms, because a lot of them be people who get bullied or just be people who just can't wait to abuse some power. I ain't gonna lie. So, but with abusing power being said, I'm gonna tell y'all why I say ICE abuses power. So one, they raid schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods. Now, schools. When we say schools, we're mostly talking about high schools or middle schools, but these are kids, So there's no reason why they should be going in people's schools when they're there to learn, taking them from school and not even their parents knowing to go get deported. Like that's crazy. And then they're detaining people with minor or no criminal record. So I could be walking down the street, and since I'm black, I'm cooked. Not to mention, I did tell y'all
Yeah,
at the beginning, half my family Mexican. So if I'm walking with my family, and they're brown, they're Mexican, they speak in Spanish, they're not something they're going to get harassed or profiled, and I am too, because I'm with them. And not only that, they're breaking up families, like I was saying, in schools or whatever, and they're also targeting Latino communities. Even when no illegal activity is happening, they're just there. And I do see this a lot too in Memphis and Chicago. Those are the two main places I see. Is you got ICE agents and military people just walking around the streets, like they're just cops or something, or like they're civilians in that community themselves. And that's abuse of power right there, because you should be using these troops for wars, for wars that are actually needed. We don't need them in Chicago and Memphis and Los Angeles. Like, come on now.
man, bro. I seen on an article that with that that they have more than a third of the roughly 220,000 people arrested by ICE officers in the first 9 months of Trump administration had no criminal histories or records, according to new data. So 220,000 innocent people arrested by ICE in the first 9 months, and they are innocent people. They ain't even did nothing. Like, bro, what?
Okay, so y'all know how I was saying like Chicago, California, and all that. See, I don't know if I had the right ones, but I do know cities like Chicago, Memphis, Houston, Atlanta, and Los Angeles have all reported that ICE operations hit Latino and immigrant heavy areas far more often. So, and and the result is fear, broken trust, and trauma for families, even those who are legal. And that right there, I want to get to. As somebody who has been racially profiled by police and stereotyped by police, I don't trust police in general, and that's sad to say because, like I said, they are people, and not every cop or whatever is the same. Like it's been a time where I went to Chick-fil-A, I seen a cop, and I'm like, oh shit, here we go again. But then I go inside with him, and I'm in behind him in line, and he starts speaking to me, and he a cool dude. Like all jokes aside, like we having a full on conversation, even while ordering our food. We still talking while ordering our food. Like he was a cool guy, and I forgot why he wanted to be a police officer. I think one of the reasons why he said like he wanted to make police like their what's the word I'm looking for? Like the way people see them. What's the word I'm looking for?
Perception change?
Yeah, like their perception, they don't want them to just see all cops as bad. Like, they don't want people to see a cop and be scared because, like I said in the beginning, or I think I said in the beginning, they're here to protect and serve us. We should not be in fear of them. We should actually be able to come to them, but instead, we'd rather handle it ourselves or just deal with it in silence because we don't want the problems that come with police. At least that's what I don't want. I ain't gonna lie. As a person who be harassed almost every damn day by the police, bro, it's low key annoying. I don't like him, bro. I really don't. But he was a cool officer. So I'm like, that just made me realize, not all cops the same. And 9 times out of 10, if you meet one who's not in uniform, you will never know because they're, like I said, they're normal people.
Absolutely, ain't gonna lie. For bro, because anytime, especially get back with ICE, anytime you say that they're saying how they're going to rip those people out of here. This just I feel like anytime you're going to say that, I feel like it's going to always be very contentious. And unfortunately I just don't see a scenario where these continued very aggressive mass deportation efforts don't don't remain incredibly or contentious, my bad, y'all. But I just don't see that changing. Like it's just always gonna be an argument every time that is mentioned
Yeah,
because of this whole this whole upstore or this uproar about ICE. I ain't gonna lie.
facts. Now, how this is kind of the wrap up of this topic. Now, I want to let y'all know why this connects to racism today, and that is because the stereotypes and discrimination against Mexican and Latino people today have roots in the war, the land seizure, the white settlers wanting control, and then you got laws written to protect whites, and then you got ICE targeting brown communities and politicians using immigration fear for votes, which honestly, this has been happening since beginning of time, where they use fear for votes in general, not just from immigrants, but just from people in general. Like these votes are low key rigged. If y'all couldn't tell, if I'm being completely honest with y'all, like these are never fair votes. But the fact that they're using people's fear for votes, it just shows you how cruel and messed up this world is. And we all need help as people. I ain't gonna lie, like we need God in our lives, like badly, because clearly we don't have it. If I'm being completely honest with y'all, and I can't speak for everybody, but for a majority of us, bro, we need God in our lives. No cap.
I feel like everybody needs Jesus. It's just a lot
No,
of
it
people,
sucks.
especially that don't have Jesus, they need
Mhm.
it a
The
lot, bro.
most,
I ain't
yeah,
gonna lie.
that's what I
Like they
was
definitely
saying.
need to seek Jesus because ain't no way. But I feel like so some people may ask, where do we go from here? How do we de-escalate the whole ICE situation? I feel
Mhm.
like the country needs to pass immigration reform, which is the process of changing laws and policies that govern a country's immigration system, and it can involve both increasing and decreasing immigration. So, with this scenario, it would be decreasing immigration. So, we revert back to ICE more traditional tactics on focusing on the absolute worst first, because that's what they were created for, to focus on the absolute worst, the murderers, the traffickers, the gang members, the rapists, like stuff like that, you know? So to focus more so on
And that's
those who are the
valid.
people that's, yeah, you know, and then so and I feel like this is a difficult question that the country has struggled with. Do we focus on the absolute worst first, or do we go back to our original tactics? Like, you know, like this is something that I feel like the country is struggling with, because they have more so an aggressive approach. So I feel like it's kind of wrong to say that because we have people in the country that has been here for 15 to 20 years who have been out of status, and in that time they've had children, they've married US citizens, they've integrated themselves, they've gone to church, made friends with people at work, they've established their whole lives here, you know, like they've
Facts.
migrated here for better lives. And I feel like it's wrong to just say that they don't belong here when they've integrated themselves in society, and basically they've became just like me and you, quote unquote US citizens, you know? So it's wrong to say they don't belong here just because, oh, they're not considered US citizens. Like, what? And they've done nothing wrong.
Nah, facts, though. I ain't gonna lie. And like you said, like for the people who did immigrate here, like you said, it's for the better, and you can't knock somebody for moving somewhere else for a better life. Because if we're being honest, that's why most people move. They don't move just for the fun of it, or just or some people might get moved just because they're tired of being where they at. But a lot of people move for a better opportunity in life, so you can't knock somebody for doing it.
Yeah.
Especially considering that you were in here from to begin with. I ain't gonna lie, but let us know in the comments what y'all think about the abuse of power topic and the racism topic and the Black Wall Street or the Tulsa massacre of 1921 and the crossing. Let us know, because that's all in one topic. Let us know what y'all think about that, what y'all learned from it, and what else y'all want us to talk about. So now, thank God, we're finally in our last topic. D, do you want to start off this topic, or you want me to start off?
I can start off this topic. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about mental health, the overall being of mental health, the overall topic of mental health. So, mental health, I'm gonna give you a definition. Mental health revolves around our emotional, psychological, and social well being. It shapes the way we think, feel, behave, influencing how we cope with stress, connect with others, and make decisions in our daily lives. Now, that is, I feel like that is a great definition to define mental health. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize how important mental health is in society. A lot of people don't value their mental health, or they don't take it into
Facts.
consideration about how they are doing. And I feel like that results in a lot of negative things that happen in the world. So I feel like we all have to value our mental health as a whole. You want to pitch Andy? I
No,
mean,
so
yeah.
definitely pinch hand. I mean, I want to tell y'all why it matters for individuals and society in general. One, because mental health affects how people think, feel, act, and influence work relationships, learning, everyday life. So it's a fundamental to overall well being. And I'm not gonna lie, kind of like you said. No, actually, I'm add on to yours later, but mental health is important because, like you was saying, bro, you use it in your everyday life. Like you might not know that, but the way you think and the way you feel affects the things you do in life. And some might be aware, and some might not be. But I feel like we need to take mental health very serious because our brain is what controls our body. And as you know, actually, D, I got before I'm gonna pause real quick. What do you think? Um, moves first. Or like, do you think the mind tells your body what to do, or you think your body moves before your mind?
I feel like it all depends on the person, but I'm going to say overall, I feel like the mind controls the body. You cannot do anything without your mind. Well, you can, but you cannot. Most of your actions result from the intentions of your mind. So, with that being said, I feel like the mind controls the body, and I would say for the people that lets their body control their mind, um, they might not understand how powerful their mind is, or they maybe basically they don't understand how to control their mind.
Mhm.
Now I'm not going to say that just because some people can make like mistakes and like I don't know, they could react off impulse, basically letting their body control their whole situation, um with a lot of situations, and there's so many different examples for that. But um I feel like overall the body controls, I mean, the mind controls the body. My bad, y'all. Apologize. I feel like the mind controls the body, and it's very important to understand how your mind controls your body. Uh, I would say physically and also spiritually as well. I'm not gonna lie.
Not facts. But and another reason why I think it's important too is because mental disorders are a leading cause of of disabilities globally. And what I mean by mental disorders, I mean like depression, anxiety, um, they know the only two I can think of. But etc. All those mental disorders, and why I said it is because like the effect of the brain, the center of the thinking, emotion, behavior, and decision making. And when those areas are disrupted, a person's ability to function in daily life can be seriously impacted. And the reason why I say, uh, like, the reason why I say, dang, hold on, I worded it wrong, but I'm gonna get back into that. But yeah, like I was saying, conditions like depression, anxiety, bipolar disorders, PTSD, and schizophrenia can make it extremely hard to focus, work, attend school, maintain relationships, and take care of basic needs. And because these abilities are essential for everyday life, losing them is considered a disability. So, and that's true, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I think so much in school, bro, that I could be reading something or quote unquote learning something, bro, but I would forget instantly, bro. Like it would go in one ear, out the other because I have in my brain I have more important stuff in my mind because if we're being honest, schools don't really teach you shit if I'm being completely honest with you, bro. Especially once you get to a certain part in high school, they're just going doing things and teaching you things or putting things in front of you to just get through the year. So it's like me knowing that this was low key a waste of my time, like it was hard to focus in general, but also with having a lot of stuff in my mind from stuff I go through in life on a daily, it was hard to focus on school and it was hard to focus on work, honestly, and sometimes even maintain relationships, rather it's a girlfriend or it's just a friend, it's hard. And a lot of people do deal with PTSD and it's low key common for soldiers and because they're so used to being in the battlefield and once they go home, it's quiet. And with quiet, the only thing that comes behind quietness is thinking, to be honest, because you have nothing else to do really but think. So it's like a lot of them suffer from that PTSD and a lot of them kill themselves from it, or they might end up hurting somebody else thinking they're still at war when really they're at home safe and sound. But again, that's PTSD for you. So
Yeah. Ain't gonna lie. I also want to give the people another way to kind of like perceive mental health.
mhm,
So as we said, I mean, we all have mental health. We all have mental health. Me, you, everybody on the planet has mental health. And just as we have physical health, I feel like it reflects our emotional state. So another way to think about that is like thinking about the weather. As the seasons change, the weather does too. There are bright and sunny days which make us feel happy and want to do things like going outdoors, but other days the weather can change to darker and rainy days where you don't feel like leaving the house. Like the weather, your mental health can go through periods of positive and bright bursts of energy, and it can also dig and drag you down a dark road for real, for real. So you may feel tired and very unmotivated or
Facts.
have the energy to do simple things such as getting out of bed or going on with your day. But these fluctuations are a normal part of being a human being. We're going to have ups and downs, and sometimes those downs can be very unmotivating and can be very displeasing. But I feel like it's important to be able to get out of those dark periods and those bad parts in our lives for real, because I feel like they shape our character and they mold us to be better people in the world. I ain't gonna lie. And better people is like just an individual. I feel like it shapes us entirely.
Hey, honestly, and I want to add to that too. And I want to add to something you said in the beginning. A lot of people don't take their mental health serious because it's something that's not really talked about, you know? And also in homes, you know, I would say for, you know, both boys and girls, but especially boys, you know, we're taught to be manly or, you know, not to be vulnerable, but we're just taught to be manly, which society has made it to where if you cry or if you show emotion, you're not as manly, which that's not fault. That's not true at all, bro. Honestly, I feel like you are a true man if you know how to be vulnerable. You are a true man if you know how to show emotion and comfort somebody in need. You know, instead of being all hard. Because nobody wants somebody who's all hard all the time. Like you feel me? I might go through something. You know, I might have a hard day getting beat up by the world, and I might want to come home to something soft. You know, I might want to come home to be able to let my guard down and just be me. Rather, I need to cry, rather I need to break down, or rather I just need somebody to talk to and tell them what happened about my day. I need to make sure there's somebody in my corner I know I can that will listen and be there for me in the time of need. So I feel like we need to start this at home. Stop telling our kids to not cry. Stop telling them to shut up when they cry. Stop calling them names when they cry. Instead, comfort them or just let them cry. Because sometimes that's all somebody needs to do is cry and they might feel a little bit better. Rather it's a lot or a little. They're gonna feel something that they didn't feel before. So
Yeah, I agree. I ain't gonna lie. I
and
also wanted to kind of like piggyback off what you were saying. Though I do feel like although many people hesitate to talk about their feelings due to stigma, staying
Mhm.
silent can make struggles way worse than what
Way
they are.
worse. Yeah.
And I feel like being able to speak openly with trusted people can help people reconnect and find support and regain hope in their lives for real, because we all gonna go through stuff. And
Mhm.
but when we go through stuff, if you have people to talk about that with, I feel like it makes it way better than just dealing with the stuff on your own. And I also want to say that if y'all feel like that y'all don't have no one to talk about that with for real, Jesus is always there. I ain't gonna lie.
Nah, facts.
I love this quote from the Bible. It says, "Casting all your care upon Him, for He cares for you." Peter, verse 5 through 7. I feel like this is very important for real, and this is important to understand because most people believe that He might not care or be there. In actuality, He's there the whole time, and He's always been there, never forsaking you. He wants you to cast your worries, anxieties, problems, and more onto Him, due to the fact that He's able to handle it way better than anyone else can.
Hmm.
So, I, to be completely honest, um, I feel like you should never count Jesus out because He can do a lot of things that you might not believe is possible. And I know a lot of people definitely do believe Jesus could do a lot of things that are impossible to man. It's important to understand that, like, you could always talk to Jesus. You could always cast your worries and your cares upon Jesus. Jesus is always there. And I feel like that's definitely been something, not something, but I've always used Jesus to talk to about stuff. Well, not use Jesus, but like I've always
Involve him.
talked to Jesus.
Mhm.
about things, and I've always talked to Jesus about things that maybe I'm not unsure of, or I feel like maybe nobody might understand me on. I feel like he's the best one to talk to stuff about that with. It's just a lot of people probably can't fathom the fact that they can't get an immediate rebuttal
Nah, facts. And
or like be able to hear him directly.
And I'm gonna add on to that because I'm one of those people. I'm actually learning to talk to God more and to put my trust in Him more. But that's one of my things is when I'm going through something, bro. Like I want an answer, like now. Like I need the stress to go away. And with God, bro, like He's gonna tell you and He hears you, but He's not gonna tell you with words. He's gonna tell you with things in life. Like something like you might get a blessing that you thought you might never gotten before, or somebody might come out of nowhere and ask you a question. Now y'all talking about a conversation, and now y'all become friends, and now that's somebody you can trust in your corner and go to when you're in times of need. So I feel like definitely get closer to God and just know that He is listening, and you might not get an answer right away when you want it, but you will get the answer you need when you need it. And with that being said, too, I want to talk about how many people die by suicide, and globally, more than 720,000 people die by suicide every year. And then also in 2021, which is the last global estimate, about 727,000 persons died by suicide worldwide. Now, and in 2023, there were over 43,000 deaths. And this, and whatchamacallit, if y'all didn't know, uh, suicide is the third leading cause of death among people of the age 15 and 29. And that's sad, bro, because 15, that's young. Like you 2 years into being a teenager, so you still have a lot of life to live. So you shouldn't feel whatever you're feeling to where you feel like you need to commit suicide, because there's better ways and there's other ways. You shouldn't do uh a a forever thing because of temporary pain. And that's what somebody told me, and that's true. When you commit suicide, you're gone. Like it's no more coming back. The life you had is no longer there. But that pain, that's temporary. It might feel like it's not, and it might be the worst pain you might ever felt. But I'm telling you, you're gonna get through it. So just keep being strong. Keep talking to God. Keep talking to whoever you got to talk to, and do the things that you got to do to make that feeling go away, because it will go away. You just got to figure out how it can go away and put in the effort to make it go away. But with that being said, I want y'all to know too why this is this is effective, bro. Like every suicide affects loved ones, community, and society. The ripple effects are mass. And what I mean by ripple effects, I mean that suicide doesn't only impact the person who dies. The consequences spread out often far and wide, like ripples from a stone drop into water. And here's how. Like close loved ones, they suffer the most. Like whether it's your mom, grandma, sister, brother, your girlfriend, or whatever. And the feeling, you might not think about how they're feeling because you're too busy thinking about how you're feeling in the moment. Now then, they're close to you, so they're gonna feel like they should have known what was going on, and they're gonna feel a lot of guilt, and that's one of the things is they feel intense guilt, grief, shock, confusion, and anger on losing somebody to suicide. Because deep trauma and emotional pain. So I feel like if you are thinking about committing suicide, of course, think about yourself too, but think about your mom. Think about your little brother or older brother. Think about your little sister or younger sister. More of the story, just think about somebody who you love, who knows loves you back, and who's going to be affected by this choice you're thinking about making. And hopefully that stops you from preventing that, because think about it. You commit suicide. So now your little brother, who's also going through similar stuff and who also feels kind of the similar way, has lost his older brother, the only brother he has. So now he's feeling intense amount of pain. And he might be thinking, well, I don't want to live without my brother. So now he makes the same choice that you made. And now your mom has lost her two only sons. And I'm not saying she's going to go commit suicide, but she is going to feel an intense amount of pain. And you don't want to put your mom through that pain. I'm telling you, you don't. So therefore, just think and and do what you got to do to get that pain away. And if you are feeling those suicidal thoughts, bro, go to somebody you can trust. Rather, you got to call a number in line, call your friend, call your grandma, call an ex, which is crazy to say, but do what you got to do. You feel me? So you want to add anything to that, D?
Yeah, it's a hotline. We learned in my psychology class, which
Mhm.
I find that interesting that you might add that call a crisis line. The number is 988. But I I wanted to add that, to be completely honest, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that happens in life that's just like it's so deteriorating to go through certain things, like it just puts you down. But I feel like there's always a way to get through certain things and to get through certain periods of life. And I know that some of them are way, way, way harder than others, but I feel like there's so much more to live and experience rather than just give up entirely because of one wrong situation. Now I understand it's I don't know what everybody like goes through, like a lot of people go through so many different things and a lot of them go through stuff that I can't even imagine. But I feel like life offers so much, bro. I ain't gonna lie, like it's so much to be appreciative for. Not like you were saying with family, but also like just your overall person. Like, bro, like you made it to be born, bro. Like it's a lot of people that don't even get to be born. Like you are one of the few that made it out, bro. Like that
Take
the
one.
development stage of being of swimming, bro, is just like is crazy, bro. It's really crazy. That development of forming as a child is just it's a lot, bro. And you made it out. And not only did you make it out, but you made it to be however old you is now. Like that's a blessing. Like God has been really good, like for real, despite the negative stuff and whatever happened in your life, like God has been good because you have got through even the negative stuff, like you're still alive.
No, fact.
So I feel like I really want to say like don't count yourself out, bro, and don't like just be like, all right, well there's nothing else here. Like man, bro, like y'all are blessed to be alive, and y'all lives are really really valuable. I feel like that the least I could put it is that like if God deems you worthy to be here, you definitely have some type of purpose, like you have something to fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
Like your purpose ain't over just yet. So I pray that y'all could get through any bumps in the road, if y'all are having any, or if y'all are experiencing those things. Definitely call on Jesus. And if you don't believe in Jesus, I mean, that's fine. I pray maybe that y'all actually do get to know him in life, but if not, I mean, hey, everyone has a choice. So, but talk to somebody or be with somebody that can help you through those things, because your life is worth fighting for, and your life is worth living.
And I want to say something before we wrap this up. And and in 2025, bro, a recent global analyst in 2025 estimated about 740,000 suicides annually worldwide. And I would tell y'all the amount that happened in 2025 so far, but it's quite not up yet. But the amounts, this like that amounts to roughly one death by suicide every 45 seconds somewhere in the world. So every 45 seconds that's gone by, somebody passed away from suicide, and that's something I'm not thinking about. So thinking about me reading and typing and talking to y'all every 45 seconds of this podcast, somebody could have just died by suicide, and that's just crazy to think because we won't know until it's already done. And sometimes we might not even know because it might be across the world. So it might not come up to our news or on social media or whatever, but it's somebody out there in the world that needs help. So like I said a few podcasts ago, spread joy, spread glory, and just spread a lot of positivity because it's something this world needs right now, especially heading into 2026 with laws being removed and like I just seen Trump. He removed the law that was helping like 300 and I think 50,000 Haitians or 300 and some thousand Haitians from getting deported, but that temporary protection is no longer here. Not only that, he removed like I think 591 books from black written books from schools and libraries and stuff like that. So it's just like we need like this world, like we need a lot of prayer, we need a lot of positivity because there's a lot of negative things going on in the world. And another thing to help y'all boost y'all mental health is to stay off social media because a lot of people that's where y'all get y'all insecurities from too. Y'all might see a girl who got the best body in the world and whole time it's Photoshop. And you over here, now might want to get plastic or you just might feel insecure about your body when really, God gave you what you got. So be thankful. Cause like he said, a lot of people don't make it out the womb. And at the same time, somebody else could have been giving your life. You were lucky to receive the life you were given. I'm lucky to be able to sit here and talk to my homie D and talk to y'all with my homie. So it's just, just also, be grateful, but definitely stay off social media a lot because it's entertainment. Most of that is not real, you know. Most of it is just to entertain people. So don't believe everything you see on the internet and just bro start loving yourselves. Like I feel like especially in this generation we spend so much time getting validation from others and that's the only way we might feel good about ourselves, but it starts with within. If you don't got and this is a quote I don't remember who was for, but if you don't got your but if you don't have your mental, you don't got nothing. And that's the truth because like we were saying, your brain low key, at least to us, your brain controls everything. Your brain controls whether you walk or move, or whatever you think. Like it controls the decisions you make. So if you're not in the right mental state of mind, you're not gonna do things you want to do. You're gonna do things that's not right, but you think might be right in the moment. So just take your mental health a lot serious and help somebody in need, because you never and be kind. Because you never know who's going through something and who's going through something in silent. A lot of people do that. They go through stuff in silent, and that's what leads to suicide. So instead of being mean and going about things negative, be positive. Because again, that's what we need in this world. So before we end this podcast, do you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, bro. I also wanted to implement a couple different ways to boost mental health as well. But before I get a little bit into that, right before we end it, um I wanted to say that I feel like it is really important to have self-love. Like I totally agree with Twin. Like this is really important to love yourself like because it all starts with you. It all starts with you.
Yeah.
Like um and what I mean by that is uh if you don't believe in yourself, who will? If you don't
Facts.
if you can't see yourself in some image, who will?
Man, if you don't
Like
love
I was
yourself,
saying,
who will?
like and like how I was saying in one of our previous podcasts before, like I mean, if not only if you don't believe in yourself, who will? But it's really you versus you. Like it's you versus you, and if you can be able to develop a strong mind, like you're literally going to be able to conquer so many different things and be able to get out of so many different situations that you might feel that are difficult or once was difficult. Now it is easy to triumph over those over those losses or over those endeavors, so uh definitely self-love is one of those key components in being able to develop better mental health and boost mental health for real because it definitely does start with self-love, being able to love yourself and understand that you are valuable and you are worth it. So to kind of hop into like different ways to boost your mental health, prioritize quality sleep. A lot of people don't realize how important sleep is, but sufficient sleep is the foundation for a healthy mind. When you're well rested, you can better manage stress, focus throughout the day, and regulate your emotions. Sleep is very important. However, what happens if you don't get enough sleep? According to research, losing even 1 or 2 hours can lead to reduced productivity and increased mistakes throughout the day and make you less physically and mentally prepared to handle the day ahead. So, with that being said, I also wanted to say the one of a different way to develop stronger mental health is the practice of relaxing. A lot of us, I feel
Meditation for
like,
sure.
especially in this generation, a lot of us in this generation don't like to like relax and sit down. A lot of us, I feel like we are like always trying to like be on a go and like be productive and do something, like get out the house and do this and do that and do this. And with that being said, or a lot of us just have busy lives in general, like a lot of us got a lot going on, and that's very understandable. But I feel like, in short, relaxation practices activate the body's relaxation response. So, and that is which is characterized by slow breathing, decreased blood pressure, and a lower heart rate. So, you're relaxing your nervous system, and that calms you down typically. And that's very good for your mental health to be able to have a stable, relaxed state. So, regular engagement in certain practices helps regulates the nervous system, as I said before, reducing stress hormones and promoting a sense of calm and tranquility. This relaxation is very important, I feel like, especially for those of us who are always busy. Having a moment to be able to just relax and wind down and just basically have like a break period. This is very good. And even for everyone, like even if you do have a lot of times on your hands and you really don't do nothing, having the time to be able to set aside to just relax, and whether it's breathing techniques or exercise or journaling or
Start meditating.
just
I'm telling
relaxing
you.
in some type of way, shape, or form,
Uh-huh.
it is very important. Um,
Oh.
so another way, so hold on, pause to it, low key, because I wanted to ask. So what do you mean by like meditating? Like, did
Like,
you
cause look,
mean like
a lot of
ins-
people, huh?
no, go ahead, go ahead,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say like a lot of people smoke or drink to to run from their problems, because I don't know about alcohol because I don't drink, but smoking, it's just like you might be thinking about what's hurting, but you don't really feel it, or you're numb to the pain. But one thing I learned with meditating is with meditating, it requires a great amount of focus and mental, So you taking the time to meditate, or like sit on your floor, bed, play some meditating sounds, or even do it in silent. You learn to just sit in silent and think about those things in a positive way that will actually help you to heal from that trauma instead of running from it, because if you don't have nobody to talk to, you can at least think about it in a healthier way. Put on some relaxing sounds. You ain't gotta hum, you ain't gotta put your hands like this, but just sit there and take a long moment of silence and just ponder on what's going on and just try to figure out what you can do to make things better or just to, or deal with that pain. But I'm gonna have to talk about it like in another podcast because my grandpa he actually teaches Tai Chi, and Tai Chi has a lot of meditating and a lot of focus. But like I was saying, meditating comes with a lot of focus and a lot of mental. So if you just do that every day, a certain amount of minutes, bro, I'm telling you, your mental's gonna improve. I'm not saying it's gonna be better, but it'll improve. Who is it? All right, bro, I'm coming. But yeah, And you will get a lot of. I just it will you will progress. You know with meditating. Now, honestly, I started doing it a little, and honestly, it helps a little. So um, y'all should try it. No cap.
Type, type. Uh, I mean, all right. Uh, so with that being said, y'all, I mean, this was a long
Let me get that.
conversation, and this was very in depth. I ain't gonna lie, and I hope y'all very much so enjoyed it, like how we did. We learned a lot. I know Twin learned a lot as
Nah,
well,
facts. I
and
did.
I don't know why Buddy is acting like John Moran in the camera, but we're gonna pass by. We're gonna
Nah,
pass
for
by that,
real.
you know. So, hope y'all learned a lot, and
At least something. You know, at least something.
yeah, yeah, at least something, at least something. Even if y'all didn't take away a lot, or y'all barely pay attention, or whatever the case is, like I hope y'all learned at least something that you found interesting, or something that you didn't know.
Facts.
So with that being said, y'all, also, lastly, I did want to say, um, throughout this is our first like very detailed
Podcast.
podcast for real. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Like this was, at least I'm gonna speak for myself. This was a lot. I ain't gonna lie. Like so, and what I mean by that is I ain't really used to like speaking to like so many people, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like it's
Facts.
different. So I'm still getting used to it, and I'm still adjusting. So
Bear
yeah,
with
with that
us.
being said, y'all cut me some slack. Yeah, and also,
Facts.
and
Same
if it
here.
was any like laggy, or like the audio like tripped out and got low or too high, or whatever the case may be, we, as Twin said before, we don't have the best setup yet, and we don't have everything orchestrated how we will in the near future,
Indeed.
but we are trying to improvise and make everything work as efficiently as possible for y'all to be able to
Enjoy this
enjoy it,
podcast. Yeah.
and so y'all can be entertained.
Indeed.
So let us know down below any other topics or anything interesting that y'all feel like that we should talk about, or that we should improve on, because it's all about entertaining y'all, and all about
Facts.
y'all being pleased and satisfied. So let us know.
Yep. But with
All
that
right,
being
Twin.
said, the divine is out. We see y'all divine people in the next podcast. You know, y'all stay safe. Enjoy the holidays. Anyway, we ain't there yet, you know, but start getting into that spirit. And like I said, spread joy. But you know, the divine, we out.